Well, folks, we have a gigantic season preview to break down, gifted to us at the end of last week's episode. Yes, it's the mid-season extended preview that we always get, and it generally sheds a ton of light on how things are going to play out for the remainder of the show. And since it's a longer preview and there is a lot to talk about, including exits of some fan favorites, new theories, endgame scenarios, and a conspiracy theory so Canadian it's sorry it even existed, I'm not going to waste any more time, so please, no posting any outright spoilers in the comment section below, unless of course something has been sleuthed out using the previews, or it's from an official source like cast member social media pages or the official Bachelor Twitter account. And if you want to watch the preview in full without interruption, I'll leave a link to that in the description.
Petal by petal, layer by layer, this rose is blossoming. Something special is in the air. Where there is she, so is he.
Roses are red, violets are blue, this preview is long, let's get to work, boo. So apart from the poem that plays over all of this, which I think is recited by Justin, maybe Andrew S., we're not getting any new footage right here. It is pretty fitting, however, that the first 4 images we see in this preview are of Blake, then Greg, then Andrew S., then Justin. Is that the final 4 in order? Is my tinfoil hat already cemented to my head with theories that the editors are telling us everything right here? Well, let's not go that far, but it is something that they put these 4 right at the forefront of this preview. And no, it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone to see there's another one-on-one ahead for both Blake and Greg. This one-on-one here is also going to be themed around the burning of Zozobra, aka Old Man Gloom. So as the name suggests, Old Man Gloom embodies our fears and anxieties, and so by burning him, you are burning away the fear and anxiety of the previous year. That's what Katie and Blake are going to be doing here, even though the festival takes place in September and they filmed this a few months ago. But let's continue on.
I love you.
They made sure to capture the special moments they shared.
When I'm with you, everything else fades.
Alright, there's some footage here that should seem familiar, but they added a little twist into it. Here we've got Mike P with Katie as she whispers, "I love you." But that's a fake out. Sorry, Mike. Katie could be saying "I love you" to anyone in this soundbite, and they just slapped it on top of this footage to make it seem as though Mike might actually be a contender. However, you might remember that we've seen them do this exact same thing before, in the preseason preview with Andrew.
I love you.
And the funny thing is, even that could be a fake out. If we don't actually see Katie mouthing the words, we can't fully trust it. However, I'd say it's far more likely that she'd say this to Andrew than to Mike. We'll see. But this Mike section is going to come back later, and with it there's more to talk about. We also have this day shot of Conor that we've seen before, and they don't really give us more than this when it comes to romantic footage of Conor. There's more to speculate on how things end for him as we get further into this preview. And lastly, we have this shot in the dark, which when we brighten it up a bit, we can see is Katie with Blake. In fact, Katie here is also wearing the same outfit she wears when Blake comes to visit her during this say anything moment that was teased in pretty much all the preseason previews. Again, we're going to be getting into theories surrounding that moment later on, but we need more preview footage before we can start piecing together all of that. So, let's keep going.
I'm so lucky to have you.
You make me happy every day.
Katie is the one, and nothing's gonna come between us.
Alright, pause. Now we're really getting some new footage. First, with Katie and Blake making out after that same say anything moment, we can see that Katie is in that same sweater. Then, her and Blake are again making out, but this is from some sort of group date or cocktail party. Check out the earring Katie is wearing here, then here's Katie with Andrew S. wearing that same earring, then here she is again with Michael A., same earrings. They also have a repeat footage with Justin on his one-on-one, put together with Katie saying, "You make me happy every day." But we know that this is actually Katie talking to Greg, as we're going to use her earrings yet again to figure out that this date is the same one with her and Greg right here. Katie has the same earrings on. And one thing I want to point out, because I've seen a few people mention this in the comments recently, the lead will almost never repeat an outfit. That's because they're given a personal stylist when they come on the show named Carrie Fettman, whose job is to literally make sure the lead stands out every episode and looks great. The contestants, however, have to supply their own clothes for a season, so you're more likely to see one of them, as we saw with Thomas, repeat the same article of clothing or maybe borrow something from someone else. But back to the preview. And actually the most interesting shot from this segment for me is right here. This car driving down a dirt road. Why? Because it looks to me like this is the kind of shot we get before a final rose ceremony. And you might have noticed that in the first season preview, there wasn't a single shot from a final rose ceremony. Usually they put something like this in. Like with Matt James, it was him walking to the final ceremony, or Tayshia as well walking to the ceremony, and in fact, they also threw in shots of her reacting to Zach proposing. So naturally, some people wondered if there even was a final rose ceremony for Katie. I think though, seeing this, there will be.
Holy the last thing I ever expected was you.
It suddenly just feels so much realer and scarier.
Oh, God.
Okay, we're gonna pause again as the preview shifts into the drama section. Take note of this shot with Brendan because it's gonna help us with a fake out in this section. So let's jump back to this first shot, where someone is knocking on the door. We know that this is Michael A. We're gonna see more of him later on in this preview, and in the first season preview, we got this shot of him wearing the same outfit. However, the next shot of Katie opening the door is with a man wearing a gray sweater. Jump back to this last shot of Brendan, same gray sweater. So why jumble the preview up in this way? Why have Michael A knocking on the door and then switch the footage to Katie opening it to see Brendan? Well, because they didn't want us to outright see what Katie's wearing when Michael goes to visit her. Because Katie is going to be wearing this. Michael is going to be visiting her during the moment where Katie says,
Our time together is cut too short. All I want to do is just cry.
And this is something we've speculated before. We're also going to be getting further proof of this later on. But if they showed Katie opening up the door right here, they'd be outright giving this away and also ruining a fake out they're going to attempt later on. We also have two more big theories to go into in this little section alone. One involves that shot of Brendan. So obviously, if we're getting this shot of Brendan visiting Katie, and this shot of him facepalming here, something must be up with Brendan. And the very Canadian conspiracy that's been going around is that Blake and Brendan actually know each other from before the show. Which I can tell you is true because all Canadians know each other. I actually met Blake and Brendan at Keanu Reeves' birthday party when Jim Carrey introduced us. But no one seems to believe that no matter how often I say it, so instead, take a look at this photo from Blake's Instagram that proves that the two of them know each other as they were playing hockey together. And Brendan actually comments on this post as well. Now, the theory that I've seen thrown around for this moment is that Brendan is coming to talk to Katie about Blake. Which, I don't know, I guess it's possible, but I also think there could be so many other reasons for Brendan showing up. It could be a self-elimination, a last-ditch effort to win Katie over as Brendan hardly seems like a frontrunner. Brendan could be coming in to tell Katie information on another contestant that doesn't necessarily have to be Blake. Either way, Brendan doesn't look too happy about how it goes. And before we move on, we also have this shot.
The last thing I ever expected was you.
Now, at first glance, you're probably thinking what I was thinking, that she's talking about Blake here. After all, Katie is wearing the same sweater as in the Say Anything Blake moments. But I don't think this is actually her with Blake. I think here, she's speaking to Conor, who is self-eliminating. Hang on to that thought. I'm going to show you why I think that when we get to another bit later on in this preview. So, let's move on.
What are you actually doing here?
You want to feel like you're the only one, but you're not. This whole thing is just tearing me apart.
Who cares about the rose or who's getting sent home this week? If it's not real, it's not real.
I need to lift her up.
Alright, and here's that one fake out I talked about earlier when I mentioned why they don't want us to see Katie opening the door from Michael. Greg saying, who cares about the rose or who's getting sent home this week? If it's not real, it's not real. And it cuts to Katie crying and looking devastated. Now, the funny thing is, he could actually be talking to Katie here. It's just not the same time as this moment. We see Greg in this same outfit here when he's walking out in this moment, which is the same place where it appears as though Katie and Greg have a breakup. We sleuthed this out before in the season preview based off of the poll here, and it being the same location where Katie says, I'm done, book my flight home, and she's also wearing the same outfit when telling someone, I'm losing you, I'm losing my mind. All of this is also going to appear later on in this preview, but they're really setting up the narrative of Greg having doubts about everything. We also have Tayshia saying, "What are you doing here?" which, if I had to guess, is from when Michael A shows up to self-eliminate. Then this bit finishes off with Katie saying, "I need to throw up." And this is from the same day where we see her running and jumping into Andrew S.'s arms. That was in the first season preview, and we're gonna see it again later. Now, this is pretty hard to piece together because one moment she's upset, the next she's with Andrew, and we don't know what moment comes first. I will say it's kinda hard to believe that someone would run and jump into another person's arms if they're about to break up with them, or they just broke up with them, but there are so many details in play here that I can't really speak with confidence. We do see Andrew S. crying in this jacket, but we also see him kissing Katie in the same jacket. So I don't know, he might be outfit repeating, this throw-up moment with Katie might have nothing to do with Andrew, she might have just had bad shellfish the night before. For now, I'm marking it as a we'll see, and moving on.
I would hate to see you end up with the wrong person.
My son's the thing I love most.
I miss you like crazy, buddy.
Maybe Daddy don't want to see me.
Well, why don't you just rip my heart out and stomp on it? So here they're setting up Michael's exit, and they're framing it as if him leaving has to do with his son, which is totally understandable. I do think that this shot with his son saying "maybe daddy don't want to see me" is edited for maximum heartbreak, but it's true that his son is going to be missing him and he's going to be missing his son. It's a plausible explanation as to why Michael goes home early and Katie says our time was cut short. There's also further proof that this is Michael leaving early ahead. Oh, and we also get James continuing the not here for the right reasons narrative, he's doomed. So let's continue.
It just tore me apart. I can't focus on anything else.
I'm not in love right now.
What if somebody else has already said it and she's said it back? What are you waiting for?
So wow, that seems like confirmation that Blake makes it to hometowns. Seems too good to be true, right? Nope, this is Blake's sister. She can be seen here on Blake's Instagram in this Mother's Day post, and then here as well in this Super Bowl family post. So, hometown confirmed. I guess it's not really a surprise, but the Bachelor editors really have no chill with this one. They just go, here you go, Blake hometown. And with it, they're setting up a classic Final Four storyline. The person who's unsure if they should say I love you. Happens almost every season. We'll see if it's actually a reality with Blake. Now in this section, we also get Michael A confirmation as the man who's with Katie in this time cut short moment. Not just because we see him in the same outfit, not just because Katie here is also wearing the same breakup baby blue, but the without a doubt 100% confirmation is this bracelet. This is Michael A's bracelet that he's worn before on the show.
I like that.
With Michael.
And I'd say I know it pretty well because I also bought one. I was even wearing it during the post-show livestream I do every week, where we did a bit of live preview sleuthing. So if there was any doubt of this being Michael before, that should be the end of it. Michael is going to self-eliminate, probably to be with his son. But I still think we have an episode or two to go before this happens. One, because we've yet to see Michael on this same group date with Katie, Blake, and Andrew. And two, there's another self-elimination that I think is going to happen first. And Michael is present when it happens. But alright, let's truck on.
I'm just really nervous.
I don't even know if I could do this.
I am done. I am done. Someone booked my flight home.
Like, how am I supposed to move forward?
So there's a lot that doesn't really mean much here. Andrew is nervous, could mean anything. Justin doesn't know if he can do this, could mean anything. The book my flight home shot shows up that we've talked about before, and Caitlin Bristow is listening in on Katie in the bathroom. Hopefully they're chatting through the door after something upsetting happens, and Caitlin isn't just being creepy.
All I'm looking for is to find my person. And it's very possible that my person just left. And I just don't know what to believe in anymore.
And here's that Mike section I was talking about earlier that comes back. With Katie upset and Mike walking away, I wonder if this is another self-elimination, or if actually, Katie has just sent him home. We always seem to get at least one one-on-one where the lead doesn't give the person they're on the date with a rose, and they go home immediately. Could this be one of those moments? Now, as we talked about last week, Mike appears to have a group date coming up that he's going to be on, so this looks to happen at least by week 7 or later. And by that point, we're getting really close to hometowns where real discussions and hard decisions have to be made. Maybe this is one of those. But alright, we're gonna blast through this next bit of footage as it's either something we've talked about before, not horribly important, or the context is unknown.
I feel like you're at a breaking point.
I'm so confused.
Andrew, I'm losing you. I'm losing my mind here.
Can I leave? Just please, just for a moment.
So there's that shot of Greg with the pole that we've discussed, alongside a lot of other emotional shots that we've seen before, and a new shot of Katie saying she's at a breaking point. But the next bit has something important I want to talk about.
It's heartbreaking. I feel like I'm going through the motions.
I honestly don't know if she'll recover if he doesn't propose.
Alright, now we're talking. Here we got another family member shot, but I wonder if this is a friend or family member of Katie's, based purely off her saying, I don't know if she'll recover if he doesn't propose. That's coming from the perspective of Katie's side of things instead of one of the dudes. She'll recover if he doesn't propose. If it were someone related to one of the guys, wouldn't they say something like, I wonder if he's ready to propose to her? And I know it's an edited sound clip, but it's still this woman's voice. Now the real juicy shot, however, is this. Conor the cat guy with Katie, who is crying. And in this shot, Katie is wearing her Say Anything sweater. This is why I believe Conor is self-eliminating. And here I have a whole narrative forming. 1. Conor decides to leave for whatever reason. This will happen as early as next episode, but no later than the episode after that. I'll tell you why in a second. 2. Conor shows up at Katie's door, thus the shot we get with Katie saying,
The last thing I ever expected was you.
3. Conor breaks the news. Katie is naturally upset. And we also see her here still reeling from that news. 4. We go back to this shot, with Conor hugging the guys while wearing the same jacket he was wearing with Katie. Here, he'll be telling everyone he's leaving. Hunter gives him a big hug, and we can see Michael here in the background. Proof that his self-elimination won't be happening until after Conor goes. I also think that this happens in the next episode or two, simply because we can also see James, Trey, and Aaron in the corner. Men who I don't think are going to last much longer. After that, 5, Blake decides that he's going to cheer Katie up. So he appears outside the window with a boombox and the Say Anything moment happens. Finally, 6, Blake comes in for a makeout sesh and Conor watches from home going, wow, she got over me really quick. Now let's continue.
I'm like shaking. I don't even know what to say. I have no words for you right now.
If you're not ready for this, I feel like I just need to say goodbye.
Okay, so we're now coming back to this Tayshia shot where she says, if you're not ready, I feel like you need to say goodbye. Which, yeah, it could be Blake she's talking to as the preview implies, but it could also be pretty much anyone. I'd say probably Greg with the whole breakup business, but we'll see. Speaking of, there's Katie saying I have no words for you in the same outfit she's wearing when this whole Greg stuff goes down, which makes me believe that this breakup is looking to be messy. Oh, and here's Katie in her Say Anything sweater saying, I don't even know what to say, which is probably about Conor leaving. But okay, we're right at the end, let's finish this thing off.
I'm truly here just to fall in love. And if I walk away without that, then it was all for nothing.
And there, the preview ends. Was it really all for nothing? Well, I don't know about that. If we're getting final rose ceremony footage, I think we might be good. So, we have a shot of Justin here at the altar, but this is actually going to be from a one-on-one, likely within the next episode or two. We've seen Katie in this outfit before saying,
Someone just tell me when fantasy suites are, please.
But I don't think Katie is talking about an actual fantasy suite date. I think she's referring to a fantasy suite photo shoot with Franco Lacosta. In fact, this whole one-on-one is going to be a photo shoot. First here, getting wedding photos, then here in this shot from the original season preview with a sort of mock fantasy suite where we can actually see Franco taking pics in the corner. Either that, or Franco's just perving while Caitlin Bristow listens from the other side of the door. But wow, what a preview chock full of good stuff. And we're really starting to paint a picture of how things might turn out. So let's talk eliminations for next episode, or next rose ceremony whenever that happens. At this point, we have 12 guys left. Right off the bat, Conor's on the elimination list for all the reasons we talked about before. After him, I'm marking Andrew, Greg, Blake, and Justin as safe, for obvious reasons, and Michael as well, at least for the next episode. Mike is also going to be sticking around, as we have yet to see him on this group date, and I don't think that that date and this shot happen in the same episode. Meaning that 6 guys safe, 1 guy out, 5 remaining. Brendan still has this moment where he speaks to Katie privately, and unless this happens next episode, he's probably safe, at least for now, leaving Trey, Aaron, Hunter, and James, all of whom could go next week. Hunter is my most likely to stay. We have this shot of him from this preview, which might be him getting eliminated from a one-on-one. So until we see this, I think Hunter is probably safe, which leaves James, Aaron, and Trey. There's just no footage left of them beyond this moment with James. And I'd wager that this happens next episode, and then after that, he gets eliminated. They've already built James up this past week as someone who's out to get people not here for the right reasons. So it makes sense in my mind that he'd continue to do that this upcoming episode, and this is that moment. Probably at the night portion of the upcoming group date. And Aaron and Trey are 2 others who are mixed in with the right reasons storyline. Add to that the fact that they really have no footage left. Yeah, doesn't look good for them. Lastly, really quick, let's talk final pick update. Right now, my final 4 isn't changing, but there's no way the pick is Greg with how messy this breakup looks to be, and Justin feels like the odd one out in terms of overall edit and connection to Katie, leaving just Blake and Andrew S. Now, Blake seems way more prominent in these previews, but is that a red herring? Honestly, when it comes to these 2, take your pick. If it's not one, it's the other. So that's it for this extended preview breakdown with a lot to discuss. Did I miss anything you noticed? Do you have any speculations of your own? Let me know in the comment section below, and give the video a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. The journey continues next week, and until then, Bachelor Fantake out.
All I'm looking for is to find my person. And it's very possible that my person just left. And I just don't know what to believe in anymore.